What'd she click? Oh, the leak sensor. Okay. Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I need to sample the audio. Stand by. Our folks over on X are probably doing just fine. Let's see. Well, X Spaces anyway. X Video. I need to check that as well. Let's get there. I was in the chair on time. Nothing in the notebook, but I did pull up a couple things that were worth having a discussion about, as far as I could tell, based on the headlines I came across that I wanted to know more about. So let's go in here to edit this. And we'll put this as a live stream because it is. We didn't use AI. And then, hello, Chuck Frog. Be careful under there. Let's see. Save those changes. And then we'll make sure that the chat is set up correctly. It usually is, but not always. Likes to surprise us. Open up the chat so I can see you guys. Yep, see, it's not set up right today. Who knows why? Turn that on. And save it. And then we'll go to the control center and sample the audio. Yes, baby, hi. Mm-hmm. All right, control center. Connect your encoder to go live. It says we're live now. It says there's people in here. So you want to check again? There you go. All right, let's check the audio. Hey, it sounds decent. All right, so we're ready to get started. Mako's standing under a server rack with the server partially extended, with the new motherboard and processors are on top of it like a shelf because I ran out of time. And that's a creepy sight. It's fine, but it's a creepy sight. All right, so we're gonna do. So I find the mouse and get everything back on screen. There we go. Interesting. 5 hours ago, March 11th, I opened this up and didn't go further with it. We were talking about the Boring Company. Watch your fingers. You don't want your fingers in the rolls of rollers. Yeah. No. Ouchie. Ouchie. Okay. So, team up on a massive new project. I think this is one that I pulled a newer article about. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and pull this old window up. And then we'll go to the ones I did pull up, which are, yeah, definitely the same thing. Here we go. Share screen. It's spinning. All right, there's the screen selection. We'll do not that one. Come on now. Yay. Yes? All right, if I can scroll. Come on now. Scroll. Not scrolling at all. There it goes. Oh. I just clicked it. You'd think it'd be near the top. Who sorts these things? I need to do some tab cleanup again, though, that's for sure. Sorry. No way it's down all this way. I guess there's a way, but it shouldn't be. What they call that project. You know what? I can just share anything and then hit share this tab instead on the one I can see. So let's do that. You need a new Band-Aid? Yeah. Alright, Mommy can help you with that. I don't have any Band-Aids in here. Mommy's not here. That's sour candy. You don't like it? Give it back. Trying to waste my sour candy. And now she's fighting with her sister about something. Who knows what? I don't think that's accurate. I mean, you guys were here. You saw it. Right, so let's hit share this, and then from there, we'll share this first one, and then we'll get into the one I found, and then we'll get into the other ones I pulled up. So let's go to share and see what happens. Okay, it's way over there. Let's fix this first. Ooh, that sounded terrible. Ooh. Wow. Beating up my house. All right, let's see. There's this. And it's weirdly square. But while being weirdly square, it's pushed everything else over. All right, let's adjust this so that I can... Ah, I see. Now it's weirdly short. Let's fix that. All right. So this one wants to talk about... This phone out of my pocket. Put it on charger. Boom. Honda denies killing the Prologue EV. Now, I didn't hear any thing about that, but I did see an op-ed, same site, about how Honda's been failing at EVs for 5 years. So we'll start with this, and then we'll go on to the other thing I pulled up, and then we'll come back to... No, not the same site, the same family. Then we'll come back to the op-ed there. A new report alleges that Honda will end Prologue production in December, but the company has already fired back. Okay, Anthony, let's see. Honda's in a tough spot with EVs. The company recently announced it would kill 3 electric vehicles already in development, including the recently introduced Acura RSX. Really, that's a key brand for them, RSX. Or not really brand, make model. Yeah, let's call it nameplate. There's a rumor that Honda may end up killing the Prologue too. I could see this one happening because it's a GM with a Honda badge on the front. I'm sure they've got their special sauce, but how many of these partnerships have they had long term? Not that many. All right, so lowest gas prices state by state, over $3 average. I'm curious about that. We'll look at that as well. Ford's already recalled 7.4 million cars this year. Well, we have a recall segment. Do you need carbon ceramic brakes? No, unless you're racing. If you're racing, then maybe. I guess there's one other possibility. If you need ultimate lightness, I think possibly, like if Apteras weren't going for a price target, that might help them with their MPG target. There's a piece these cars won't make it to 2027. There's going to be a lot of them. So anyway, they're in a tough spot. According to Auto Forecast Solutions, as originally reported by Automotive News, Honda will end production of the Prologue in December. And the Prologue, you might remember, is based on GM's Ultium. Yeah, it's basically a Chevy Blazer as a Honda. It could be the Equinox, but I think it's the Blazer. When reached for comment, Honda denied these rumors. They said that the Automotive News is based purely on speculation. The Prologue remains in our lineup. That's not a proper denial. It does remain currently. You didn't mention after December, or even, you plan to keep it after December, and then things could change. That's how we remain skeptical. Through February, Honda sold just 1,700 Prologues, down 74.6% from the same period last year. Good gracious. I remember when it launched, it was the best-selling Chevy. And it was from Honda. Of the EVs on that platform. So Blazer, Equinox, all of them. Honda was the best. My, how things changed in a year. Or is it 2 years now? Time flies. So yeah, let's call it a year because So much has happened this year. Talking about federal incentives, they changed. Yes, they did, and that might have been only a year. Good gracious, it feels like 2 or 3. The Honda Prologue is an electric crossover, jointly developed by General Motors supplied platform and builds the Honda Mexico facility alongside the Blazer EV. So yeah, the Blazer EV, and formerly the Acura Blazer EV as well. That one got canceled right quick. The Prologue went on sale in 2024. So yeah, 2 years. With the automaker selling 39,140, 194 in the crossover's first full year on sale in 2025. So the record was last year. Okay. That explains the muddy timeline. The Honda also killed the ZDX in September, where it shares a platform with the Prologue, citing market conditions. Market conditions being they no longer felt that they were bound to clean air because there was no government mandate. There's no more government incentive to do a good thing. Ford, General Motors, Stellantis have all reported huge losses tied to their EV efforts. And as we discussed on several places, it looks like Stellantis was packing their losses into their EV division with fancy corporate accounting. Honda will do the same. Oh, sorry. Back to the article. Honda will do the same and is expected to record a nearly $16 billion loss. Them, I could see actually losing $16 billion by not doing EVs well. I don't see Stellantis doing $21 billion. Not already not wanting to do EVs. Like, it's very unlikely they spent that much money on their EV program when they didn't want to do it. You can't make us. Yeah, they had, the whole mandates within the company. Everybody must have an EV, this, that, and the other, but they all sucked. And the little crown jewel of the U.S., the Dodge versions and the Ram versions, they were not good. The Charger was poorly reviewed. The Ram ProMaster, it was kind of a niche configuration, and the one that they did offer, everybody else offered a better one at a better price, so there weren't many of those sold. They refused to join the Supercharger Coalition. They just joined NACS, and then, yes, baby. Hi. Hey. Hey to you. You're gonna hurt yourself if you keep playing with that. You biting the open grid? What are you doing with that open grid? What are you gonna do with the open grid? Are you mounting something? Mounting something to the wall? Yeah, the open grid looks like a toy. I know it feels like a toy. It's made of plastic. Yeah, careful, watch your teeth. Excuse me, it's not a chew toy. You're gonna hurt your teeth. It's supposed to be pretty strong. Hey, yeah? You got an open grid? Yes, it does. So, where was I with that? We talked about the funky accounting and the X3 EVs. Oh, we were talking about how Stellantis didn't actually want to be in the EV space. So they refused to join the NACS, the Supercharger Coalition. They got the NACS port, only called it by its code name, J3400. It's a SAE designation, and had no answer to if you could use their vehicles at the Supercharger. Everybody else was like, hey, we joined the Superchargers. We've got our own thing coming too. And our own thing can also charge both ports. So I just said, yeah, we got ports. And then they went back to talk about wake the neighbors loud. So And then in Europe, they didn't have anything that stood out as any of the Europeans were talking about. Like that tells you a little something right there. There were auto reviews just because they got free ones, but free ones, not free cars to keep, but free cars to review. And they didn't make it across this way as far as we heard a lot of EVs and heard very little coming out of Stellantis. Honda will make new parts for your old Acura NSX. That is interesting to me. Every time I sat in an NSX, I was like, yeah, too short. The very first one I sat in was in the showroom at my Acura store that I was working at the time, and the top was removed, and my head was up over the windshield. I didn't think that was safe, so I never did take anyone up on the offer to take it around the block. Let's see. Honda recalls 65,000 SUVs for screens that may go black. I guess we'll add that to our recall segment. Motor One's take is it's not surprising that another EV could soon cease production. The market in North America has cratered since the incentives have disappeared, and now automakers, including Honda, are shifting resources to hybrids. Who is citing this cratering narrative to you guys? The sales are doing well enough. They have shifted because there's no government incentive at the federal level, but there are still incentives in some states, and they're still good cars. And right now, you saw me click on the oil prices a topical article. That's because of that, EVs have seen themselves a price surge in the used market. So I was discussing with some folks the other day about a Model Y that was priced just $3,000 below new, with like 8 or 20,000 miles on the odometer. And people laughed and said, "Ah, dealer dumb, ha ha ha." And then we got to doing a little research. It's going to take a couple months to get a delivery done if you get a new one. The used stock at Tesla is harder to find lately, and they're like, "Well, what does it have FSD for life on it?" No, it didn't. It was just a rolls right off the factory model. It was that right now the gas prices are super high, and it's harder to get them. So some folks would just get one that they're sure is available today. And then a slightly less reason is that some of them are ending up at dealerships that specialize in less than stellar credit. But this wasn't that. It was just literally the market is saying, "Hey, same thing we see every time the gas price goes through one of these cycles of political strife or cartel-induced market manipulation." They say, "Hey, I'm getting out of this game. There's other opportunities, and they make sense, and they're good. They don't look like little yellow cheese wedges anymore. Let's give it a shot." And so you see folks that have friends with EVs. They say, "Hey, I'm going to join you now. I'm seeing this trend towards $8 gas in California, and I want off this train." And they go. But then as more of them do that, "Oh, hey, 2 of my friends just got EVs. I think I should probably do that too. I look like a chump out here standing in the pollen and the cold, holding this dirty gas nozzle or diesel nozzle, and I'm done with this." Spoke with a guy at the supercharger the other day, and he had just bought a used Model 3. I think just probably about a couple months. And he was telling me how on his diesel truck, he had been driving around town in the Model 3, and he's trying to get a hold of whoever was driving his truck that day in his family to get them to go fill it up, because he started the morning. It was at what he felt was a reasonable price. Then later on, he was running an errand for work, and the price had jumped $1 per gallon. He's like, "Whoa, that's not good." He finished his errand. The price had risen another 150, another $1.50. And then he started calling. He's like, hey, go get the truck some fuel. And And then by the time that I met up with him at the supercharger, it had gone up $3.99 per gallon for diesel, he said, at the places that they fill up. And yeah, he said he wants to get a Model X. And we discussed mobile service as well, because it looked like his window regulator failed. And I told him how easy it was when mine was done. Now they did it in my driveway while I was on a meeting. Done in less than an hour. Oh, it's time for me to replace that. I wish I knew what it was before. I didn't check it after I ate. Yep, it's done. We'll deal with it later. And so he was interested in getting a second one. Not a bad deal. Let's see. Mobile mechanic quotes Dallas customer $500 to fix wheel. Then he gets a second opinion. Third time he has saved me. Oh, I need to order tires. If I have any chance of getting to Tennessee, I gotta get the logistics on that. And then baby number 2, she's got a birthday party as well. I'm hoping that's not a conflict. Let's see. Life hack woman says Sam's Club quoted her $700 for new tires. And she got a full set elsewhere for $350. Really? Sam's Club was not a cheap price? Lee Moon, good to see you. Good afternoon, Kacey and Friends. Good to see you. Good to have you here. So we were talking about Honda canceling the Prologue, allegedly. And Honda denies it. And then let's see, there's an op-ed here where somebody's complaining about it. Ioniq 5, Ford, Kia, Chevy, homepage stuff. Outrage, Donut, Kia. Let's take a quick tangent then. Let's not call it a detour. Share this tab instead. And we'll cancel that Honda Prologue denial. The Kia Niro EV is dead, according to Inside EVs. The Lovable crossover recently got a midlife refresh, but the all-electric version has been discontinued. What? That's stupid. I mean, yes, they have a bunch of really nice other EVs in the Ioniq series and the Kia EV series and the Genesis brand. However, the super appeal of the Niro is that it was competent and very budget friendly. It was very approachable, and it was like a little secret that very few people knew about, which is probably also why it's getting canceled. It probably didn't sell all that well because they tucked it away. He has discontinued the Niro EV, which has been positioned as the company's entry-level electric car in the U.S. Earlier this year, the plug-in hybrid Niro also went the way of the Dodo. I'm not mad at them canceling the plug-in hybrid. As we keep discussing, the actual usage of them, unless the person buys them for themselves, is crazy low. The facelifted Niro, which debuted at the beginning of 2026, will be sold exclusively as a hybrid. Ouch. Lee says, I always thought of the Niro EV as a nice starter EV. Exactly. It was competent. You didn't have to feel bad about anybody getting it if it fit their range requirements. You knew it was safe, and now it's not available to recommend as a new EV. I'm guessing that they had two reasons for this. One, shifting political climate, blah, blah, blah. But I'm guessing that the manufacturing content of this vehicle made it unappealing to continue when they've got the Ioniq platform and the Kia EV platform made here in Georgia, right? I think it's in Georgia, and or is it North Carolina? One of them's in North Carolina, one of them's in Georgia, and that makes it a little easier to get around the politics because it's local. I'm pouring out for the Niro EV. The entry-level crossover has been officially discontinued, according to the company executives, quoted by the Korea Herald. it had been produced until the previous model had been discontinued. Oh, so it's been gone and we just didn't know it. Like people were waiting for it to come back and then it just didn't. Well, that's helpful. All right, so there's the 2024 Nero EV. See, it didn't even look bad then. The original one looked very generic, but again, do you want to pay for style or do you want a good, competent EV to drive you around? I know there's people who want to do both, but when you're trying to make every dollar count, you're willing to give up a little bit for style. And it's not that it was ugly or any of that. It's just very... It could fit in the background anywhere. And some people want that on purpose. They want to not stand out from the crowd. So for many, that was a selling point for this vehicle. Yes. Let's see. Got a comprehensive facelift at the beginning of the year. By the time we didn't know the powertrains available would be for the refreshed crossover. Now, though, it's clear that Nero will only be sold as a hybrid going forward, with the electric and plug-in electric vehicles versions being discontinued. Kia EV production is West Point, Georgia, according to Google. That's what I thought, yeah. Or at least the battery. Well, no, I think it's the whole EV, yeah. The battery might be the North Carolina one I'm thinking of, which is fine. And, yeah, so... The other thing that's harder about the Nero for EV is it wasn't a purpose-built EV, so it wasn't... It wasn't as aggressive as it could be in any category, like range or speed or handling or this, that, and the other. But again, if it does what you need and you're trying not to spend a lot of money on gas or car payments or anything like that, it did the job. It did what you asked it to do. And now it doesn't. I mean, if you already did get one, or if you find a used one, yes, it still will, but going forward, they're out of that game on this car. First generation debuted in 2018, at a time when affordable electric cars were, somewhat is doing a lot of work here, somewhat rare. I'll tell you how somewhat rare it was. You had these little micro cars that nobody wanted, and then you had the Model 3, which was only available in premium trim at the time. That's what you had. So, somewhat rare. It's said deadpan. That's just what I interpreted it. All this being said, the Nero EV slowly went from being lovable underdog to a hard-to-explain model in the Korean manufacturer's lineup. With a starting price of roughly $40,000 and a 253-mile range, Kia's cheapest EV made stateside lost that shine in the market where the entry-level Model 3, which is a larger car that can go 321 miles on a full charge, starts from $36,990. Then there's the Chevy Bolt, which costs less than... That's probably what really did it right there, the Chevy Bolt. Because the Bolt was the only other thing to give them any run for their money at the time was the Bolt and the Model 3. And they, the dealers would put incentives and stuff on it, so it was never actually 40, except in shortages. And oh yeah, the new Nissan Leaf. But why would you run from that? We've seen them sleep on that race before. The Leaf has always been reasonably priced, just flat out. Not if you don't look at the guts of it. The new one is competent, but the old one was like, you can't justify that. But anyway, they yes, the shifting competition, but if you're already refreshing the car, why not just put a cheap version of your Ioniq in there? Just decontent the heck out of it. Make it make sense. But probably it was a case of like, let's just let this division shine. But now I'm expecting to see a cheaper Ioniq, and I'm basing this on nothing except that this car is gone. And that they like money, and that they don't want to give up market share to Toyota and Chevrolet and Tesla. Keep the near. I saw a Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6 yesterday at a different supercharger. The Ioniq, he came in on the populated side of the supercharger, I suggest you go on the other side of the equipment where there was likely only one other car, because as we arrived, there was a Rivian, R1S that was over there charging by itself and unbothered. I wasn't watching to see who was pulling over there after we started, so it could have been full. But he pulled in and he just waited for somebody to leave. Somebody did leave, so he moved his car and he started charging. And they weren't charging very long, so I'm guessing they just needed a top up because, as I've discussed before, the that platform of Hyundai Kia, it doesn't charge very fast on the superchargers because it's an 800 volt EV, and this was a V3 supercharger, and not a Magic Dock one either, so he had an adapter. It's pretty slow. It's pretty slow because the way that they handle a 400 volt charger is they have like a voltage doubler. Basically, they run it through the drive line, which is fair. It's just they didn't optimize it for 400 volts at all. This is so you don't get stuck. We did our part, and you know what? It also could have been a new one where it's max native, but still has the same problem. It doesn't charge fast on 400 volts. We need more V3 native. We need more V4 native supercharger sites out there. Come on, Tesla. So yeah, so they charged up and they left. That was kind of cool. Kia will continue to sell pre-facelift inventory cars, but after these are gone, the company's EV lineup in the US will consist of just two models, the EV6 and the EV9. Yep. Because they, everything else is, imported, yep. The EV6 and EV4 were originally supposed to be imported stateside, but the ongoing situation, tariff situation and geopolitical environment has kept Kia from moving forward with its initial plan. I guess they kind of got lucky on that one now that shipping has been re-disrupted. The EV6 GT also got imported from Korea, which recently prompted the automaker to stop selling it stateside. Meanwhile, the EV9 7-seat SUV and regular EV6 trims are assembled in the United States, making them immune to shifting import duty policies. So you think. Liebman says the 2027 Bolt parts content is 51% China. Oh, wow. 70% US, Canada, according to the Monroney. I wonder if that's why they made it like a limited time special edition. That's just all they had stock for. I wonder what the tariffs. Yes, that's exactly what I was getting at as well. I wonder how they're going to handle that. Or maybe, you just glad hand somebody enough and he won't notice that that you're actually doing what he says he doesn't want. Or you grease some wheels and he lets you do whatever you want, or it helps China, so he's really good at doing that anyway. So interesting. But I'm suspecting that this is why we're at a limited time special edition, blah, 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 blah. And then when they bring it to the States, it's going to raise the price. Like, really bring it to the States. Or they just never do that, and that's why it's limited time. I'm curious the comments on this one. I expect Hyundai Kona to be close behind. Yes, exactly. The Nero and Kona were the same situation as the EV and Ioniq. Thanks to memories, cheap EVs are a casualty of he whose name shall not be spoken. He certainly is a factor, but it's also true that much of the world, the Kona EV is going to be rendered obsolete when the Ioniq 3 comes out. Oh, that's another good point. And then because we're not getting the Ioniq 3, we just get none of that. Fair enough. Okay, so it's not a really bad business decision. It's, as I was leaning on politics, tariffs, and shipping, and artificial manipulation of demand. And in the United States, I'd say that the Kona EV isn't a particularly compelling value when compared to the new Nissan Leaf and Chevy Bolt. So also like the article said, now that the competition has come back and is a heavier nameplate, people have always been fine with Chevy here, and the Nissan Leaf, they started the modern EV return here because they had the Leaf was pure EV. You had the the Volt EV that was a PHEV or Rex. It had gasoline in it, so it doesn't count. And I own two of them. The Tesla Roadster was there, but it wasn't an everyman's car. And the Model S came out, but it was again not an everyman's car. So that's what we got with those. Excuse me. Not surprising, it's 2010's technology, slow charging, no NAC support. Yeah, I didn't get that. Yeah, that would make a difference going forward. And they didn't add it because it didn't get a 2026 model year. And everybody who did it did the NACs on the 2026 model year. Interesting. Good point. So that should have been our clue that they weren't going to do it. I have to think that they got the adapters though. Unless it was just completely different than the other systems. Expensive for what it has to offer, the new Bolt has double the charging speed, more range, and costs less. We've got something coming about the new Bolt. I think I clicked on it. Let me see. I did. All right, so we'll talk about the new Bolt next, and then we'll go back to the guy who's going to complain about Honda. The Bolt is much smaller and has a rear suspension barely capable of its name. Barely capable of its name, what? The name rear suspension? Or the name Bolt? It's quite a nice car, but a nicely sprung station wagon it is not. Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. I really hope by next year Kia will give us the EV5 and EV3 and EV4. If not, they will really be outsold in the EV lane with what Rivian has coming. Ford as well. I'd have to put Honda in the conversation, but they cancel those EV plans. Another stab at Honda. They have a tight game to play right now with those other marks. If they don't build them here, they risk everything else by upsetting people, by bringing them in. So like many other large conglomerates, they are in appeasement mode. So it could be 3 years before we see the more affordable rest of the family arrive. Or more. Or just a couple months. We'll see what happens. Ford, as I recall, yeah, we're going to talk about that. R2 launches its priciest trim at $57,990. Oh, wow, that's not as high as I expected it to go. That's cool. Rest in peace, these cars won't make it 27. Do you need ceramic brakes again? No. So let's go to the next one here. Talk about the Bolt real quick. Share this tab instead. Close the Neo. And the 27 Bolt EV charging test proves GM understood the assignment. So right here is something that the Hyundais have problems with, and that the just the Hyundais, I think, is the only one I talked about this show about having trouble charging on the supercharger network. So my understanding is that the new Bolt is also 800 volt architecture because it's Ultium. Other Ultiums, what they do is they charge 800 volts, but then they split the pack to run at 400 volts all the rest of the time. And let's see what the secret sauce is with the Bolt. It might just be that it's smaller than the rest, and so you use that same trick, and it just fills up faster. Also, because they've gone higher voltage, their little trick of using too thin of cables means they don't have to slow down for their thin cables, because one of the advantages of going higher voltage is it reduces the amperage, so you can use thinner cables. And less copper costs less money. Look at that. What is that stuck to the supercharger? Those faceplates there. Interesting. It's only on some of them. These two. And whatever it is not the same, but it looks like centered, and I wonder if Tesla put them there. Can we get a large copy of this image? Let me see. Open image in new tab. Yeah, I can get it larger, but not large enough to see what those are. Wow, it's only bolts of the supercharger in this photo. Interesting. All I can still see is one is red and one is green. Those could be used this side for charging signs. And that would explain why Tesla would put them there and they'd look, professional and centered and everything. Because they'd have a template for it. It does look like Tesla font too. Okay. I'll close down this and we'll go back to the article. 27 Chevy Bolt EV can charge at 3 times the power compared to its predecessor. That's not difficult. The previous Bolt, as I said, was a 400 volt architecture and the cables were too thin, so it charged at 50 kilowatts. 50 kilowatts. As in what my car does before I unplug it when I get mad at how slow it's gotten. Unless I need the charge to get to the next station, which lately is not the case. Unless I'm towing. I see those at the Ocala superchargers. Okay, yeah, we could use them elsewhere if they work, because we get a lot of people who will pull the cord through the wrong side. Now, if they were running a wrong side charge port car, fine. That means you're not double spacing it. But everyone else, yeah, looks like they could use the help. Now, some of them with the short cable chargers, it does help the people with the right side charge ports or the correct side charge ports to not do it wrong because they've actually oriented them. But other times they're not oriented and people pull the wrong side all the time. Like pull it through to the other row. All right, so going from... Yeah, so anyway, like I said, 3 times this predecessor is nothing. It's nothing at all. So that also means that we're talking about 150 kilowatts, which is bog standard these days. Everybody can do 150 kilowatt charging for the most part, assuming that they're not up converting like Hyundai and Lucid and Porsche. And the problem isn't the up converting; it's just you have to have the strategy set to handle the up conversion either with the right amount of amps, or I think that's really the only way to do it. The right amount of amps, or just a better. Some of them have a poor conversion scheme because they're trying to manage heat and everything when they do that. If you can charge fast on 400 volt and then faster on 800 or 1000 volts, that's what the customer expects to see. But the reality is they've built it for 1000 volts and they just make it so that you're not stranded on 400 volts. But if they had to live with it and the price isn't too crazy, you might see them actually optimize for 400 and then take advantage of 800 when it's available. Anyway, that's more than decent for a city EV that starts at less than 30,000. Yes, that is part of it. To go faster than 150 does take more everything, more materials, more money, more engineering and effort. So I'm not complaining at the 150. I'm just pointing out that they went from subpar to average. But on a car with a shorter range, smaller battery, average, it'll do you good. Because look at that, 10 to 80%, less than 30 minutes. That's the expectation when you're charging. They don't care what it takes to happen. I want to plug in. I want to be on in less than half an hour. You figure it out. That's what they're paying for. So it's finally here. While it may look similar to the old Bolt, it delivers significant improvements in all areas. However, this being an electric car, the charging speed and driving range are probably the top priority list. And GM knows it. And they're not pretending that, that people don't do single car situation here. You're a single person, or you don't like big cars, or you're a student, or any number of reasons why you get an entry level EV. It doesn't mean you don't take road trips. It's not like you bought a 100-mile EV or 75-mile EV. Those don't do road trips. In fact, they do road trips, but anyone doing it, the manufacturer wasn't expecting it, and whoever sold it to you wasn't expecting it, and unless it was some sort of like club drive or something, people are going to think you're just an adrenaline junkie to try and make that work in today's age. So you get the less than 100-mile EVs, and they are not expected to be single cars for everything, unless you're in a country that just doesn't road trip at all. And there are some out there. They likely heard all the complaints coming from their owners. Yeah, we were complaining before the thing even came out because they wouldn't tell us what the charging speed was because they were embarrassed at the 50 kilowatts. And then it came out and we complained about it, and then they didn't fix it. I forgot they got that little software bump. They got an additional 5 kilowatts out of it because they went from a measly 55 kilowatts to a more than decent 150 kilowatts. But that's not triple, but it is triple the original at 50. And now the first press drive is over. We know the new Bolt EV handles DC fast charging in the real world. Hey, look, it's out of spec Dave. Dave from Out of Spec Testing preconditioned the battery before plugging in at a NACS capable a NACS cable from a Tesla supercharger and reported 10% of state of charge. Estimated 22 miles of range remaining. The ambient temperature was 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and all the pieces were in place for a perfect charging session. Yes, absolutely bog standard perfect charging session. And that's exactly what happened. In less than a minute, the car had already reached its peak charging power, going to 151 kilowatts. I do like it when they have a little bit of buffer in there. At 18% charge, 2 minutes after plugging in, it hit 156 kilowatts and sustained over 150 until reaching 40%. All right, so it's got a reasonable charge curve as well. At 45% power, it went down to 140 kilowatts and continued to taper as the session continued, reaching 115 kilowatts at 50%, and 110 kilowatts at 55, 100 kilowatts at 60%. That's still pretty darn good. When the battery level hit 80%, it was still pulling around 80 kilowatts, which is respectable for what is essentially a city car. Mine, I don't think mine pulls 80. It barely pulls 80 at 80%. But after 80%, it goes off a cliff. Mine is older, and it was built when 150 kilowatt charging had just come out. So it can do 180 for a moment, and it will do 180 for a moment, and then it settles down in the same range for a much larger car. I've done the 10 to 80% charge on the 2024 Model 3 long range rear-wheel drive and the 2026 Model Y long range rear-wheel drive in 28 and 29 minutes respectively. Yeah, and that's a reasonable stop. You go to the restroom, get your snacks, get adjusted, take a stretch, and you're back on the road. I'm not saying I don't appreciate the faster charging when it's available, but generally you got to pay for that, so I'm not complaining. I had the refresh 22 volt, and it would almost see 55 kilowatts, 53, maybe 54 for a short time. That's right, you did have a bolt, and it did you well. You used it for what it was meant for, but like me, you would take it on a road trip because a road trip monster. But with that range, it wasn't unexpected that you would take a road trip. Not like the Renault Ami. You wouldn't take a road trip in that. You and I wouldn't. A 14-year-old surely might take a road trip in the Renault Ami, but they're not going to be DC fast charging it anywhere because it's AC charge only. That's the stuff I would do at 14. I would have took a Renault Ami if it was available here. I would take a Renault Ami on a road trip. We need to go here, buy here, and yeah, I'll see you in 3 days. I was one weird kid. The old Bolt EV, which had a 65 kilowatt hour nickel rich lithium battery. Nickel rich. I've never heard it described like that, but okay. Yeah. It was capped at 55 kilowatts, so it needed an hour to DC fast charge to get 150 miles of range. That's unacceptable. I mean, it works, but that's in today's. If they relaunch that today, like back when it came from, it made sense. It made the whole package fit together. But if they did that today, oof. And I guess that's also part of what plays into the Nero's destruction or demise, the end of the Nero, and soon the Kona. But if they gave it the charger from the Ioniq, but I don't think they can though, because that was a 400 volt EV, the Kona and Nero, I do believe. So you couldn't put a 800 volt charger on it because that would mess it up. The old Bolt EV had 65 kilowatts an hour. 27 volt EV's spec sheet has been out for quite some time, and we've known that 65 kilowatt hour LFP pack can be charged up to 150 kilowatts for a few good months, and that's also pretty good. It's a similar size battery, but LFPs don't mind fast charging, and they are a little more durable. The problem is they weigh more, and they take up more room. But the advantage is they are cheaper. So I think that's a good trade-off. You get faster charging, same range, and so you can AC charge all you want, and then the handful of road trips you want to take in the thing, they're not punishments. Like, hey, why did you take the other car today? Like, no, this is my only car. I'm going on a trip. 262 EPA estimated mile range, public knowledge, but now that the first car journalists have had a chance to put the 27 volt EV through its paces, it's clear that General Motors put quite a bit of effort into making its entry-level EV a compelling car. With a starting price of just $28,995, including destination. That part is really cool because so many times you get told a low-price car and it's not including all the paperwork and crap. New Bolt EV is the cheapest EV in the market right now, cutting even the Nissan Leaf S Plus by $24,990, which is why last week or the week before we were complaining that Nissan wasn't bringing us the Leaf S. No plus, no, just S, like they used to make. Because it was expected to be in this $23,000 price range. But we don't get the Leaf S here in the States because politics, tariffs, the economy, blah, 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 blah. The 22 volt would comfortably do a modest road trip with a couple of short charge stops or one long one. The Tesla charging speed and supercharger network changed everything for me. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a good point. If you did partial charge, it would stay closer to the 50 instead of sitting there for an hour, similar to you do now with the with your Teslas, but with shorter hops. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing of the new Bolt a lot, and I hope that they get some more competition because that's what we need right now. Like you heard me complaining last week about how the car economy has gotten out of control. Like we were talking about the special finance deals. We were talking about just the general price going up, and not just people going for too much car, but too much car being shoved onto people. And these offer a nice reset of that. You got the Bolt, you got the Model 3 standard, the Model Y standard, you've got the Leaf S Plus, you've got you had the Nero. You got a bunch of these cars where you get people in something comfortable. You get them not just blasting the air full of just garbage, and it's still good on crash tests, and that's one of the things I like about the Tesla platform is you don't have any blank button spots anywhere. Everything's on the screen, so you may be missing 2 speakers, but you don't really feel like you got punished. And this Bolt, they actually go the other way. They're like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. Get a good price. And I'm sure they're doing it in volume and with the LFP pack and a couple other tweaks up their sleeve that don't really affect the end customer. With a single front-mounted electric motor making 210 horsepower And a subcompact footprint, it's not exactly a road tripping monster, but it might be the perfect commuter car. And as Lee said, medium range trips, where you might have to charge once or twice, they can still be done. And now they can be done more comfortably. Whereas, it probably would suck for a transcontinental trip. Not transcontinental? Yeah, it was just across the continent. That's transcontinental. Only called it transcontinental railroad. That said, for all the effort put in by GM, the heavily revised Bolt EV has an expiration date. Yeah, we've been talking about that. The automaker confirmed for Bloomberg earlier this year that the entry-level electric hatchback will be made for about 18 months at its Kansas factory before being kicked out by the gas-powered Buick Envision crossover. Yeah. So it's not even the politics of it all, although they could be hiding the politics of it all, the 51% Chinese content. If they think that the gas crossover here is going to make them more money, then I see why they would be willing to do that. But that sends a bad signal. I think if you're looking for a better option Bolt than the standard Teslas, especially 3, choices would financially stretch it. Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing if you got it, but I'm comfortable with the stretch for an EV that fits your family, but I'm not comfortable with, as we discussed last week, the way that they're pushing all this extra stuff on customers who don't have the means for it. Like that guy who thought he was upgrading his pickup truck and he didn't get anything because the current car was just so stacked from previous transactions that now that he needs one because the car is falling apart, he can't get out of it. He's stuck with a car that is going to cost him more to repair than to get a new one, but he can't get approval for the new one. This will change. It's not going to be comfortable, and that's just part of the reason I like the leases so much is you didn't end up with as a customer, you didn't end up holding the bag at the end of a quirky car that didn't succeed's run. So you leased the car, you drove it, they put the wrong numbers on it, and instead of being worth $35,000 when you were done with it, it was worth $22,000. They didn't then send you a bill or a balloon payment or anything like that. You just turned it in, got something else. Versus if you bought a car during the supply crunch, you overpaid for it. $60,000 for a $40,000 car. The market readjusted. The car always should have been $30,000 used, 28, depending on how long and how hard you used it. And now the market had returned. It's set right back down at $27,000. You still owe 32 on it because it's only been a year, or 30. Okay, so that's not accurate, not a year, but basically, you owe $5,000-$6,000 more than the car's worth, and you got to keep on to it. You got to hang on to it until it's paid off, or when you go to trade it in, that it's a wash or a profit. Now it's part of your down payment, but that's not like that same guy with the truck. They pushed him into just a little bit too much truck. I am grateful for my training manager for that. When I was selling cars, it's like, hey, yeah, it's fun to show them the car with all the stuff on it. Don't do that. They need a minivan, show them the one with cloth seats. They're looking for a crossover, show them the one with the steel wheels. See if they like it. They might. Before him, I would just match what they came in with what was on my lot, and so they come in with the Odyssey with the TV screens in it. I would switch them over to the Odyssey with the TV screens in it. But he was smart. He saw this stuff coming. He's like, yeah, they might not be able to get into another Odyssey with the TV screens in it, so start them down a level. They might not notice. They might say, hey, our kids don't even use those things. Or, hey, we appreciate this one gets 3 more miles per gallon because it's not full of everything. Yeah, we could use that. Then you run them back to the finance department, and they're approved. Barely. Versus when I tried it the other way. All right, here's the new one of what you got. Oh no, can't make a deal. All right, we're going to Toyota or Kia or, well, the one that's ever sold minivans was Honda. So no, it's not true. I'd sold minivans at Toyota too. He was prescient about what was going on, and I'm grateful for that. And in life too, it's the same. It see what you can get through. You need a new whatever. Figure out what features you must have now. Figure out where your needs are going to be towards the middle to end of the product's life cycle. See what you can do yourself, or if it's worth doing yourself. Because some stuff you can do yourself, but it's going to take you more effort, time, and parts and effort to bring it up there. And if you can do it, then you can go to the next one up. But yeah, like me with these used servers, I didn't spend $38,000 on a server. I spent $150, and it does everything I need. Let's see. Yeah, so that was my little tangent into the realm of affordability and today, and people ending up with too much car and ending up underwater, that sort of thing. Underwater, sometimes literally, but usually just financially. And all of that to say, I'm grateful for all the options out right now. Love to see some of the ones we're starting to see in Europe and China available here, but it's not going to happen. Either because they can't afford or don't want to bring the manufacturer here, or by the time you get done jumping through hoops and greasing palms, you end up with it's not a cheap car anymore when it gets here. So. And a handful of them, they can't pass the crash test here. So I'm grateful that those ones are not here, but that is not the majority of them. Let's see what these comments look like. There's 30. We're going to sample these quick. The city label sounds backhanded insult. 262 mile range with 150 kilowatt charging makes it practical for road trips. Yeah, exactly. It's on par, aside from being smaller, on par with other EVs available today. Agreed, 262 mile range and 26-minute charge time are viable for a road trip in much of the country. Contrary to what so many Americans seem to believe, it's possible to road trip in something other than a giant SUV. This is the other part of what I was going on about the financial stuff is you've got somebody who only needs a crossover to meet their desires and needs. And instead of selling them the small crossover, we push on them. We push on them so hard that they need the Ranchero, and they've plussed up into a small tank for one person to go to and from work 300 days a year, and one road trip with one other person twice a year. They don't haul anything. They don't bike. Everything's delivered. What did they need the large SUV crossover thing, or the giant pickup truck for? And now they can't take any more vacations than that one long trip because they're strapped. They didn't get anything they couldn't afford, but reminds me of the story of a guy who he got a BMW, and this other person, they bike everywhere, but sometimes they take an Uber. And the way he described it was like, whoa. So the guy got this nice BMW, and another job, basically, because now he's driving Uber to pay for the difference in what he could actually afford and what he bought. And now his leisure time is severely reduced. He gets 1 hour a day instead of 4, 6, 8 hours not working. His last car was fine. It wasn't a BMW, but it wasn't broken. It wasn't wrong on the fuel economy. It wasn't in disrepair. It wasn't shabby looking on the outside. It was like a Honda or Toyota. It was just, he did what he needed. He got himself a second job. So now he gets to stay in the car. That was the part that got to me. He said now he gets to stay in the car even more. I mean, yeah, he could have said no, but the psychology of it is the marketing, the branding, that we're pushing that on the guy. And then when he went to the store, he might have wanted the a more approachable BMW if he wanted the status, the look at me, but it's not what he walked out with. The finance guy should have said, yeah, no, you can't afford this car. I don't know how we can phrase it and not get the complaints and the whining and I'm going to get your jobs, but I was never the finance guy, but there were ways that a skilled person could nudge them back into a reasonable car without selling them a car and a job. And still, be a BMW from them, new or used. I've always gone in to purchase a car with a hard budget cap on what I'm willing to spend. I would walk out or look elsewhere if the car didn't fit my budget. No one convinced me to go over. And that is a really good strategy right there and takes discipline. It is so easy to end up with the little creatures on your shoulders and they're talking with this one and then it's just $5 more than I planned. We'll be fine. And then I'd get out, it's only $30 more than we planned. And then the insurance gets you. It's only $300 more than we planned. And now the guy's driving, 3 shifts of Uber a week. All night. I don't know an easy fix to it. The benefit to crazy times like these is it takes the stigma away from being more frugal than when times are good. When everybody's looking at the gas price going up, looking at the food price going up, taxes are not doing what they said they were going to do, insurance is gone crazy. Your neighbor's not going to look at you cross-eyed when you say, "Oh yeah, we got these eggs from the backyard of Grandma's friend." I say, "Why did you get your eggs from the grocery store?" Not normally they say, "Oh yeah, fresh is best," or whatever. But they, why are they doing that? Or why are you trading tomatoes for cucumbers? That stigma is lessened in times like these. But perhaps there never should be a stigma on it. It makes sense. I've got more tomatoes than I'll ever want. You've got even more than that with zucchinis because they're better at it. Let's trade some. And, celebrate the people modeling what we want to see. Living within your means, growing your businesses, spending time with your family. We value the ladder here. We're just constantly on the race, and then you look back, it's all gone. What did I do? You see it all the time. You get the trope here on our movies about how dad worked so much that he didn't get to see his kids. Thankfully, it rarely works out exactly like the trope, but man, sometimes it does feel that way. I just tell the salesperson that I'm not your customer today. And I set my budget so I enjoy the car and still do the other things. And that is good discipline. And we need to model this for the young folks, and teach them, and guard them against the manipulation, the mental manipulation, the peer pressure, the tactics. We see this with some of the Nordic kids, like in Finland and Norway. They are given training against Russian propaganda and other outside influences because they have a healthy fear of their shared border with their neighbor. And that does kind of bleed into other stuff, which is really cool to see. We don't have that here. We don't have financial training for the kids. We don't have nearly as many home ec or shop or other vocational programs. When I was in middle school, I rebuilt a Ford small block and Chevy big block in shop class. We had woodworking. We had I didn't get to do metalworking. I had something else instead. We had home ec. None of the boys were allowed to leave without knowing how to bake, and some basic stuff on the stove, how to do the dishes, basic work with a sewing machine. We had, facts of life were just put at us, even if we didn't want to see them, and they used some live action videos from the 70s to scare the crap out of you. We're just saying, oh, don't do stuff, and you'll be all right. And instead, the numbers are just through the roof of just bad outcomes for the kids. Employers would be ashamed to give you a full-time job where you needed government assistance. Instead of saying, hey, welcome to your full-time job, and here's the number to the nearest aid office. And before that, even, you could do it all on one income. That's gone. I know the one income gone, but it's gonna take us to reel this back. It's gonna take us all to reel it back. And you've got Elon talking about amazing abundance or whatever, but none of his actions are congruent with that. Everything nickel and dime, left and right, subscription this, removing that, doubling the price of this. Is he expecting somebody else to bring that about? I don't know. Or maybe this is the last step to make it happen. I don't know how that works, but... Oh, my X is completely closed. How long have we been off X? Let's restart it. Spaces. I wonder if it did an auto update or something, because I had just unlocked it when we got back to the house. Let's chat. Yep. With Kacey and Friends. March. Yep, March. Not November. Not February, December. March. 15th. I feel like a gorilla hands typing here. Not that far. Part 2. So I guess that the screensaver would have been desirable to that. But if it's screensavered and I didn't see that class, that wouldn't have helped at all. Part 2, space. Oops. Space. Start recording. Okay, so gotta unmute myself, don't I? So yeah, I like Lee's technique going in. Get your hard budget. If you don't respect it, then I don't have any reason to continue to talk to you in your sales environment, Mr. Salesman. I'm being polite, but if you are trying to take advantage of me or change my mind to something that is against my goals, or worse, against my interests, we will end this interaction. So I like the way that you've done that there, Lee. It's very responsible, and it should be modeled. Lee says, before Mom passed away, she wanted me to take the time and enjoy myself. I told her it was my honor, joy, and privilege to take care of her. Road trips and other things could wait. Our time at the end was priceless. Absolutely. Exactly. And we have to enable these kids to do that. And who knows, maybe we'll be available to take them on a couple adventures before they become locked to a geography. And also, I research every car I intend to buy and know the exact spec I wanted. There's not enough of that anywhere in this world, whether you pay the correct price or you overpay. There's not enough of that. I know it's not easy. I know it takes time, but it saves you from having to buy it twice. It saves you the effort of trying to cobble something together to make it work when it should have worked the first time to begin with. And depending on what we're talking about, sometimes it doesn't hurt to buy used, whatever it is, as well. Sometimes the used ones are a better deal. When I bought the Honda CRZ, the staff said I knew more than they did about it. Exactly, and then I liked it when I had a customer who was researched, because then we could just talk about stuff that hey, show me this thing I read about but I've never seen it, and then we could take the time to do that. Versus blah 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 blah. Here's a car. Let's try to make it work. Whatever. I got frustrated whenever I did know more, and they tried to pretend that they knew more than me as a customer to somebody who was selling to me. I always found that frustrating. Where were we? Very recently. I was in an electronics store. I was looking for a solution for getting my Nintendo Switch onto the TV because Moto and Mako are not allowed to walk around with the Switch. And I told the guy I was looking for either the official dock or one of the cable solutions or an aftermarket dock or any other way to get the thing onto the TV. And he got flippant, like, those cables are crap. I'm like, what if it was a Nintendo cable? Not that Nintendo ever made a cable for it. Excuse me, but he's like, and they don't work. Oh, well, don't start with that. I had it on the cable for a couple times because the dock was at home. I had a valid cable that worked. Boom, onto the TV. We have the dock. It's misplaced. I got Moto a video game for the holidays and didn't realize we didn't know where the dock was. Otherwise, would have got it for Xbox or something else. And no, because we wanted the physical game for whatever reason, and only the Nintendo one was in stock anywhere. So I wouldn't have got the Xbox game. But had I known that was not there, then I probably would have looked for the Xbox game online or somewhere else to get me a disc for whatever reason we were looking for physical games. So him not knowing and talking down to me and being flippant about it was quite disgusting. I looked to see what they had. They had a dock for the Switch 2, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to buy it here just because the guy was talking down to me. And we left. So 70% in half an hour. That's not terrible. I don't even think mine does 70% in half an hour. Compared to what? That's average for EVs these days. Mine is 8 years old. I was in the app the other day, and they're telling me when the warranties. No, I wasn't in the app. I was on the website looking for a button for Tesla Scope that I can't find, and they told me the warranties. You have this many more months on the drivetrain and battery, and this is expired on the rest of it. This has been expired. The average is about 91 kilowatt hour charging speed. Well, I think you mean 91 kilowatt without the H there. 91 kilowatt charging speed. A friend of mine recently took his Ioniq 5 on a road trip, preconditioned, and got 125 kilowatts on average from 5 to 80%. Yep. Average charge speed is so much more important than peak charge. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because if you get a car that's got an impressive, we charge at 8,000 megawatts, and it does that for 3 seconds and then drops down to 50 kilowatts for the rest of the charge. That wasn't a good charge, was it? Way off topic. When's the Chattanooga Tesla event? Is it this coming week? I should look it up. I also need to look it up because I'm supposed to be going to it. I got to get these tires in so that I can make it there safely, and then I got to make sure I haven't overlapped the baby's birthday. I did a poor job of word dogging it to make sure that the logistics worked out for me this year. I've had a year, and I feel bad about that. But I think I'm going to try. I mean, I'm still going to try, but I think I'm going to have to juggle some stuff to make it happen. I need to call up Brian and Highlander to make sure what I'm doing. I'd love to have been a fly in the room to see that interaction with the sales rep thinking he knows more than me. Yeah, exactly. It was. I didn't show everything because my baby was there and I didn't want to model bad behavior for her. I mean, I wouldn't have been like rude per se, but I would have not like the mirror of my child doing exactly as I did, as I said. So I explained to her what was going on, said that he was wrong, and said that we were going to take our business elsewhere. She understood that, wasn't happy about it, but they also, again, didn't have it on the shelf, so she would have had the same outcome anyway. And I feel the bigger person for that rather than just, boom, here's what you know. I would have done it tactfully to the point where he would just kind of disappear, try to save face. Not that I was rude or anything about it, but I just, the way I would have gone about it was not going to be good in front of the kid. So, yeah. He could tell he was in the wrong as soon as he said it, though, by my reaction. I was like, oh. And then when I threw out the what if Nintendo made the cable, he wanted to get out of there. And Nintendo didn't make a cable like that, but I was like, would you say the same thing if Nintendo made the cable? March 20th to 22nd for Chattanooga. I think I have put myself in a corner with this here. Let's see. Where's a calendar I can look at? The 20th is a Friday. 22nd is a Sunday. Party is Saturday. From Dad's house to Tennessee. I could do that in a night. Bring the cameras, record the podcast there instead of doing it live. Or we've got the Starlink. Set our video quality down to stupid low. Bring this. That could work. All right, I need to get with them, figure out what the logistics are, get the tires in, because I cannot make a trip that long without these tires. I don't necessarily have to put the suspension components on. It'll just be 1,000 miles of the wrong suspension. Well, not the stock suspension eating up the inside of the tires. Oh boy, that's gonna be a lot of driving. I'll put the waterless wash in the trunk. We'll have to stock up on snacks. Yeah, I need to get with Brian and Scott and work that out. I may make it one day, just get past a Widowmaker migraine episode that's been going on for a week. I feel much better, although I'm wiped out feeling still. I had a really bad headache all day yesterday. I don't think it would qualify as that, and I empathize with you, my friend. And I'm glad that it's passed and that you are starting to feel a little bit better. And I hope that your energy returns. Oh, make it 4 one day, so you might be there already. Okay, yeah, I'll try to get there. It's probably going to be Sundays, what I'm looking at. Let me see. Let me look at a map. Don't want to look at a map there. No, because that'll dox myself. Let me look at a map over here. Oh, that's awkward. Sorry, I'm looking at all the stuff that popped up when I opened up the new tab. Ooh. That's the last one that came up when I told you guys that. They're talking about they want to replace the White House columns with ones that a certain individual prefers stylistically. I think he's done a lot of changes to the building already. And I also think that means it's already done because he hasn't got approval for anything. Ooh. Wow, that's bad. And the reason I'm not telling you what I'm saying is because none of it is stuff that I like to discuss on the video here. Wow. After 93 years and a 25-hour filibuster, Washington finally has an income tax, and billionaires are already packing their bags. For those unfamiliar with the United States, Washington State had no income tax. Sounds like they had a drag-out fight, and now they do. Okay, so now what I was doing actually here was getting onto a map, but now I can use a map, since I'm not going to put it on the screen, I can use a map that I can also use for gross road trip planning. And, oops, I zoomed out too hard and it, I got a black screen. So let's see, Dad City. To Chattanooga. Yep. Oh, that's not terrible. It's basically just go west. This might work out even better than I thought it would. Go west for 4 hours and 7 minutes, 4 hours and 36 minutes, 4 hours and 40 minutes. Huh. So we could go to the baby's party, spend the night, leave really early for Chattanooga, bring the podcasting gear, or at least the cameras and microphones, meet all you guys, go back to Dad's house, and then come back here in time for work. So now let's see, from here to there, I think it's going to be unappealing. Not that I won't do it, but it's looking like his will be easier than ours. Well, it's not much worse, really. 6 hours and 8 minutes. Or a 2-hour flight. Or 3-hour flight. But y'all know I don't fly. Not that I can't fly, not that I don't enjoy flying. I can make Elon pay for my fuel. Do it for free instead of hundreds of dollars per seat for a plane. Yeah, I think we can do one day as well. I just, again, need to get up with Brian and Scott to make sure what's going on. Because it's going to be a tight transfer. Yep, so he spent the night at Dad's the next night. and then jet back first thing in the morning, or stay at his house, work with him. I'll get with them, figure out the logistics, then get with him and see about that. Because then the next week we've got court regarding our where we got rear-ended repeatedly by a semi-truck 8 years ago. It's a busy month, I tell you what. A little less than 7 hours Tesla trip time for me. Yeah, that's the other part I'm looking at. Why I don't want to do it straight to this building is that that's going to be at least 2 or 3 charges with the way that FSD drives my car, and I don't feel like switching it to the old mode and trying to do it myself, because then you get just exhausted doing that drive. It's an all-day deal. But if we only have to do 1 or 2 stops and end up at Dad's house, they get to see Grandpa, I get to see my pops, do a little bit of work, a little bit, do a full work day, and then come home for dinner. All right, gotta call Brian and Scott. We'll get with it. 27 minutes charge time, 2 stops in the route planner. That's not bad. Mine, because there's mountains involved, I know it's going to try and do some 80%, 90% charges. And so then it's just a matter of finding the next one that it can actually reach and just going there instead. It's not that hard. You just got to remember to do it. 421 miles-ish. Oh, yeah, I guess I got to look at the miles. That explains why I did a Tennessee supercharger trip. I thought I did it from Virginia. We did it from here. It's only less than 400 miles from here. I'm sitting here looking at the highway trip it chose. The car would never choose this highway. It's probably why it looks worse than it is. And the fact that they suggested a plane ride. I don't usually get that when I put in these routes. Interesting. Come back again. All right. I'm gonna leave that on the screen so I don't forget. Actually, I say that I'm gonna put the tire rack on screen so I don't forget them. TireRack.com. Because like I said, I can't take this trip without tires, and we're running out of today to get them ordered. So I'm going to sign in. Sure, yeah, I'll take cash back. Why not? I like cash back. I got a coupon. I'll proceed. Come back here. Hope the coupon's stuck. Sign in again. Yes, I want you to use the password manager. I don't know the password. These passwords get exposed so many times that I don't know any of them. All right, the coupon's not applying, but that's fine. I just need to get it on my screen. I can figure out the coupon later. Sign in. Don't give me the coupon offer again. Sign in. Darn it. There you go. They have new terms and conditions from the last time I used them. All right, sign in. And let's do my garage. I bet you they have the wrong address for me. It's been so long since I ordered tires. Yeah, that one. I want tires for the Model X, please. Thank you. And yeah, I'm running the factory tires size, not the factory tires. Got the Cross Continental 2s. Love them. Lee says he has to go straight through Atlanta. Ugh. I agree. Every time I go through Atlanta, I'm like 3 cars back from a crash. I'm like, whew, glad it wasn't me. All right, so they offered me the Vredestein Ultrac Pro tires for $289 each. Never heard of them. The Michelin Pro Pilot Sports for just $431 each. $432 each. More than double the other guys. Oh. Ouch. I said that wrong. I'm not buying front tires. I'm buying rear tires because the fronts are fine. It's $206.18 for the rears and $289.74 for the fronts of the Vredestein. The Michelin Pro Pilot Sport EV is $431.99 for the front and $463.61 for the rears on special closeout per tire. Usually, most tire brands I look up, the front tires cost more than the rear, even though there's more material in the rear. The rear just must actually be a real size, like a common size. So what I want to see is the ones I've got now. How bad are they? The Pirelli P0 is only $196.82 for the rear tires and $424.66 for the fronts. Am I going to run mismatched tires? I might run mismatched tires for that price difference. Let's see what my set comes to, if they even have them in stock. Falcon, General, Goodyear Eagle All Seasons, $378.99 for the front, $324.99 for the rear. Yokohama Advan Sport, $350 for the front, $352 for the rear. So it's changed a little bit. Some of them are similar, some of them are more for the back, but I'm still seeing a lot of them that are more for the front. And unless they give me a 4 of this model deal, then there's no real advantage to not getting just my 2 rears that I need. I said page 2, and it went blinkety blinkety, and then nothing changed. It doesn't even have a little X. Click out of there, click back in here, click it again. Nothing. All right, what if I make it more than 10 per page? Show me 25 per page. There's 4 pages at 10, so it should now only be 2 pages? Or is that all of them now? Your Eagle, Falcon, General, Michelin, Pro Pilot, Sport All Season. I don't even see the one marked OE. Oof. $2,000 for a set of tires. Like, to get all 4. I think that's a package deal. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a package deal. I think it's just giving you 4. Important note, tread patterns must often be tuned to accommodate the different tire widths. While tires above match your order specification, the photos might not. That's fine. I don't care what it looks like in the picture. I care what it looks like when I get it. Okay, so 25 per page didn't do me. Let's do all per page. Okay, it did reload that one. Let's see. But the actual items on the page did not change. Let's see. Showing tires by category. Can I put price? Consumers highest rated. Can I filter by brand? Maybe they don't carry mine anymore. No, it's 5 Michelins. Okay. Pilot Sports EV. All season. There it is, my cross climate 2s. $357.99 each for the rear. $344.99 for the front. Severe snow rated, yes. Will I be driving in the snow again? Probably. Will I be driving in the rain? Definitely. It does all right in the rain. They have the X Ice. That wasn't available last time. $256.44 for the rears. Only 3 in stock for the front at $348.24. So I think the other thing I need to do is tell them where they're delivering it, because if they send them to Virginia, that changes the tax and it changes which warehouse possibly. So we'll deal with that later, but leave this on the screen and continue on. Sorry about that, guys. It is topical because if you guys want to see me there, I need to be able to get there. All right, and after this, I'll buy some tires. Using the Hummer or any of GM's large truck EVs is a bad comparison because of their capabilities. Lucid vehicles are efficient, but that has to do with more with the aerodynamic as much as their electronics. EV motors and inverters are pretty efficient. Yeah, but the Lucids have the same problems, whereas the Hummer and them can still charge at 400 volts, no problem. For a stable 150, 10 to 60 taper instead of a 350p, 10%, 20, tapering all the way down to maybe 50, 60% or more. I agree. But I also prefer the battery to take care of itself. So yeah, the average kilowatts is what you want to look at. Moving on, we're going to stay on batteries, or do you want to go back to find the Honda guy? Let's do our recalls real quick. I did get a tire recall notice, but it wasn't for anything that fits any of the cars we cover, so sign up your email for the tire recalls. Put your car in there. Honda recalls 65,000 SUVs for screens that make a black. The recall affects the General Motors based Honda Prologue and Acura ZDX. I'm going to guess this is related to the backup camera regulation. As most of these tend to be, rather than that they even care that the screen is blanking any other time. It can cause instrument and infotainment displays. Oh, okay. If it makes them both fail, then yeah, they would still do it. They learned about the potential issue in June of 24. I'm looking at my watch. June of 24. We're in March of 26. This is that same mentality of the legacies that gets me upset every time that we see Tesla or Legacy do the right thing in a matter of weeks for something minor. Honda recalling 65,135 crossovers so it's the whole fleet due to software defects. So it's a software update recall. Probably bring it into the dealer software update recall. But it is GM underneath, and they do know how to do OTA, so maybe. Let's see. The affected vehicles could experience blank instrument and infotainment displays, making it impossible for drivers to see their speed, warning lights, and the backup camera. I knew that was going to be part of it. And the backup camera. The recall affects 2024 Prologue and 2024 ZDX, according to the recall report. The model's radio control module may contain 6 independent software defects that can occur independently and cause a process error that results in screens restarting or failing altogether. The reason I smirked when I read contains 6 independent defects. These are probably just random bugs in the software, and there's 6 of them, and they're being counted as 6 independent software defects. And it's just software. Why are you guys taking so long to do a software update? I'd get it if you had to replace the needles on a speedometer cluster. Honda first began investigating the issue in June of 24. Okay, so they started back then. Struggled to reproduce it. Oh, that makes it harder. Okay. But still 2 years? hire a firm if you can't do it yourself. With that many cars? Now, the automaker continued its investigation, receiving information in December of 25, indicating that 6 defects were related to the issue. Sounds like they did, receiving information in December. So I guess they couldn't find it and they hired it out to get it found. And so from December to March, okay, I'll give you that. That's not that bad. Okay. Shouldn't have took them 2 years to find it, but oh, good gracious. 23 ZDX, 19,573 affected. 24 Prologue, 45, 562 affected. Total, 65, 135. In February, the automaker determined that the defect failed to comply with the federal motor FMVSS standards for the backup camera, most likely. Honda began informing affected customers in April. You gotta wait another 2 weeks to start telling people that they need updates. Owners can take their vehicles to a designated service center so its technician can update the RCM software. Are you messing with me right now? There's no reason for this to need a dealership visit other than politics. Like, not voting politician politics, but like corporate politics between the manufacturer and the dealerships. What should happen here is they push an OTA and it goes to the car. And it's fine. And if you want, you can go to your dealer and get them to do it. Then, there are still some people going to the dealer for it, and they can push the button on the screen, or they can hook the computer and do it themselves. If it was change the wiring harness or replace the chip with the new BIOS or whatever, then yeah, bring it to the dealer. But this is 2026. You've got an internet connected car. This is not the way. Honda said it's unaware of any injuries or death. Yeah, there better not be any. And any injuries or deaths related to the issue. It has received 148 warranty claims. The Prologue and ZDX are 2 electric vehicles built at the Ultium platform. Not even Honda is immune to the challenges of building modern cars that are packed with software. Even though the 2 EVs are built on GM hardware, software and issues related to it continue to trouble automakers and frustrate owners. This brings up a point, though. This might be purely on the Honda side. It might not affect the GM cars at all. Which also might explain why GM could fix that one OTA and Honda can't. Aside from that, they don't want to. Subaru recalls nearly 70,000 cars for fuel leak issues. That's unfortunate, but we're not there today. Ford recalls 605,000 vehicles for windshield wiper issue. Ford issues massive recall for nearly 4.4 million trucks. And Volvo recalls 40,000 EVs for fire risk. Okay, we'll talk about the Volvo. What date is this? Can you give me a date? Update 2/25/26. Okay, so that's current to us here. Volvo's recall will affect 189 EX30s in the US. Huh. Only the US ones, 189, okay. Volvo calls I got passed aggressively by one of these the other day. Not that I had to be passed by it, because, I'm P100D, right? But family in the car, I'm not trying to get a ticket. And it was an FSD, so I didn't care. Volvo cars are calling more than 40,000 EX30 electric vehicles. The model's battery pack could overheat, leading to a fire. I think we talked about this. I don't remember, so we'll do it again. Currently contacting affected owners, telling them they should limit the charge. Yeah, we talked about this. I would have commented about how it's the usual. Limit your charging, don't park near anybody else. Replacing the effective battery packs could cost the automaker $200 million. Not for the 189, but for all of them. It's unclear how many cars are affected in the US, but now we know, 189. The National HTSA has not yet published an official recall report, and Motor One has reached out to Volvo for more information. Volvo said in a statement that they initiated a recall campaign to fix the cars affected by the battery overheating issue, affecting certain model year 24 to 26 EX30 single motor extended range and twin motor performance cars, which issued a safety notice to affected customers in December of last year. They mean literally last year. Okay, I was going to say if it took over a year to do the fix, I'd be upset. But we're talking months. All right, so mind your Volvos. Now, where is the guy complaining about Honda? Ah, yeah, here he is. Share this tab. Close this. I've watched Honda fail at EVs for 5 years. After today, I'm out of patience, he says. I say he. Yeah, Ralph. And the URL heading, or the browser title is, I can't take this company seriously. Honda just killed the only real EV project. And they're not talking about the, or at least I don't think, based on the way they worded that they're talking about the prologue. They're likely to be talking about future EVs from Honda that are now a no-go. In November 22, I sat across from Honda's CEO, Toshihiro Mibe, new on the scene and eager to own the future. The CEO talked a big game about Honda's commitment to carbon neutrality and electrification, the linchpin of his transformation. So the company's partnership with General Motors, in his words, wasn't just a bad job plan to build the Honda Prologue. It's a multi-year partnership between equals to develop affordable EVs and conquer tomorrow's auto market. 3.5 years later, that affordable joint EV plan is a distant blip. Another failed launch from a company that still hasn't built a modern long-range EV itself, let alone an affordable one. There's the Afeela situation as well. I think they're shipping soon, supposedly. When the plan changed in 2024, it this time hinged around the Zero Series, a new software-defined vehicle family planned to encompass 3 US-built models by the end of 26. Now those are all dead. They're showing us the Zero Gallery. They're performing the only tactical maneuvers mastered in the EV area, Retreat. Yeah, them and a lot of other legacies. The press release for this announcement, the company declares its continued commitment to carbon neutrality and electrification. And that's what the executives there have been telling me for 5 years. And I've run out of patience. The company cares about if the company cares about carbon neutrality, it needs to prove it, not just say it. And if it wants any hope of being a real contender in the next era of the automobile, it better start competing rather than waiting on the sidelines for competitors to figure things out. By the time they do, it'll be too late for Honda to catch up. Yeah, because they're not just competing against the legacies. They could totally let somebody else do the R&D, and then come in and, not even really R&D, but market research, and then just build themselves a car to compete. I need to fix this centering. I don't know which way to go with this thing here. Well, that's further the wrong way. Okay. So I can relax a little bit, come this way. Long, embarrassing story. Yeah, the Clarity Electric that died. The Fit EV, that one was just a slap across the face because they only allowed them as lease. They were competent, and they also didn't allow DC fast charge, if I recall. The Honda E, yeah, the cutest EV by far, has had a longer run in Europe, but still only about 3 years before dying due to low sales. ZDX, I don't think it made a year, did it? May not have been a Honda, GM product underneath. Built by GM at a GM factory, but it died after less than 2 years on sale, making room for the Zeros-based RSX, which is now canceled. The product beat the ZDX's record, dying before it even went on sale. By no means a new trend. When I wrote up experience with CEO and other executives in 22, years behind, Honda rushes to catch up on EVs. You guys are complaining about Honda. They're a little smaller. I complain about Toyota all the time, and they're finally coming out with some stuff. I regret buying what company executives were selling me back then. This time they were serious, they said. We're committed. But since then, There's been all retreat after retreat after retreat. They dialed back their EV investments, killed the SEDX, and all while insisting the Zero Series would prove the doubters wrong. Today, they proved us right. Honda had big plans for Zero Series, first unveiled in 24 CES, 2 years and 2 months ago, if anyone is counting. Zero Series was supposed to be the reset moment, built in Ohio, designed from the ground up, built on a new software-defined platform with an AI assistant. It checked all the right boxes if you wanted to prove that you actually saw the future as an opportunity and not an obligation. This was how you would do it. Not my first rodeo, especially with this company. I've been a Honda fan my whole life. Yeah, I've enjoyed Honda a good deal. Owned an S2000, Acura CL, Type S manual, one of only 3,300. Talked my mom into an Acura TLX and my dad into a Honda Accord. Yeah, I sold my mom an Accord. I had 2 Civic hybrids and 1 Civic LX. Stick with the manual fit while working on at a Honda dealership. I learned to drive stick on a tractor and a Toyota. Motorcars Honda in Cleveland Heights. We were the first carbon neutral car dealership in the entire world, blanketed in solar panels. This would line up with the electric Hondas that were sure to come, we all thought. Yeah, well, it didn't. Whole project hinged on the company designing a world-class EV from the ground up, mastering software-defined vehicles in one go. Oh, that part right there, gotcha. While adopting an unproven AI agent. Oh, that part also didn't help. Monumentally ambitious. It takes automakers years of trial and error to figure out any of these thorny issues. Yeah. Here's a telling passage from Honda's announcement this week. Emphasis mine. Moreover, in China, what customers value more in automobiles is shifting from Honda hardware features such as fuel efficiency and cabin space. They still want these things. To software-based features that will continuously advance according to customer preferences. This has intensified the competition due to the rapid emergence of newer EV manufacturers that leverage their short product development cycles and strengths in areas of software-defined vehicle technologies, including advanced driver assistance systems. Yeah, ADAS is definitely a perk. In such a difficult competitive environment, Honda was unable to deliver products that offer value for money better than that of newer EV manufacturers, resulting in a decline in competitiveness. They wrote that down? I mean, yeah, he emphasized it, but they wrote that down? Oh. No. He'd better be turning in his resignation with something like that. You don't admit that you're uncompetitive with the competition. You say something like, hey, the competition is trouncing us. We need to come back from behind, blah, 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 this and that and the other. We need to redouble, blah, blah, blah. Not, we lost, we quit. I've been a Honda fan. First new car, 1982 Prelude, 2008 Civic Coupe, 2009 Insight, 2011 CRZ. Prelude and CRZ were my favorites. I loved all that. I owned, though. Yeah, they were fun to drive. They were fuel efficient. They were reliable. And, with the hybrids, it looked like they were trying to make the right moves. Wow. Honda automobile business has fallen into an extremely challenging earnings situation due to various factors, including its inability to respond flexibly to these changes. Oh, that's still in the quote. Ooh. He wrote that down. Or they wrote that down. Including its inability to respond flexibly to these changes in the business environment, compounded by a decline in the profitability of gasoline and hybrid models due to the impact of newly imposed tariffs. Don't blame this on tariffs. They don't help, I know, but don't blame it on them. So the Zero Saloon is gone. They better hope Afila makes them some money, because looks like they are not making the right moves. Wow. When a company admits it can't compete or respond flexibly to a changing environment while hemorrhaging money is in its core business, it's not a great situation. I clock that. When it references quick design cycles while canceling an EV it revealed a full 2 years ago but never launched, it looks even worse. Yes, it does. But while the release blames tariffs, market preferences, and lack of comparable subsidies for Western manufacturers compared to Chinese firms, these are all things that happened recently, very recently, not 2 years ago. The real blame lies with Honda. Yes, it does. Peers like Hyundai, General Motors, and even Toyota are figuring out EV profitability, stabilizing their businesses while competing in multiple markets. It's Honda that can't hang. Yeah. And like I said, as much as I get on Toyota, they increased their offerings. They made the BZ not unsuitable for mass appeal. I guess it's still not really mass approachable, but they didn't make it feel like you had to love Toyota to want this car with the refresh. Trap of its own design. Honda Public Relations is eager to point out the company is driving towards electrification with growing hybrid sales. But even here, it's not keeping up with its peers in terms of its choice. Honda introduced the first U.S. market hybrid, 1997, Honda Insight, as seen on the picture there, over 20 years ago. The Insight. But it was Toyota who popularized the format. Yeah, they had a different style hybrid, and they also got stuck in hybrid land way too long. As in, they let the hybrid sell them. They couldn't do EVs because it would have took a little bit of money to do an investment and some research and a build out. They could just keep doing what they've always done, making money. We're Toyota. You don't want a Toyota? No, I don't. Not if it's got gas in it. Okay. Anyway, today almost every Toyota offered as a hybrid. Many exclusively that way. Yes, this is true. And again, give me a plug. Don't care for your gasness. The Honda Insight was the most efficient car in the U.S. when it launched in 2000. It launched in 1997 in the U.S. We talk about 2000. Oh, no, wait, you're right. Sorry. Oh, you're right. 2000 in the States, the first hybrid in the States. 1997 was the Prius in Japan. 2001... or later in 2000, Prius here in the States. Ooh. Yeah, because the Insight is actually newer than the Prius. But not in the States. They beat them. So, 2000. Yeah. That's more than 20 years ago either way. That's 26 years ago in 2000. All right, so meanwhile, Honda only makes one hybrid SUV, the CR-V. Yeah, I've seen a couple of them on the road. There's the Accord, Civic, and Prelude hybrids too. The Civic was it the Civic? The Accord was definitely gone for a while, but I think the Civic was not long for the world when I left. Not the Civic, but the Civic Hybrid. The market's given up on sedans. The idea of a $45,000 hybrid Prelude coupe is absurd on the face. I think Doug explained that one pretty well, Doug DeMuro, about they knew what they were getting into, and to make it profitably and to make it fun, that's what they needed to do, and they could have offered a lower trim, but they didn't. Who knows how well it will sell? It's going to be limited edition anyway. Its largest and dirtiest vehicles still come exclusively with naturally aspirated V6 engines, and which trace their origins to 20 years back. Toyota's been making hybrid Highlanders for 20 years. Longer than that. I was 2006 or 2008 Highlander hybrids I was selling. From my 04 Prius. Either way, he's got a loose definition of 20 years. But you still can't get a pilot or passport with a traction battery. For sure. The Sienna minivan is hybrid only. I do like that. I do wish it had a plug, though. Honestly, because on the Stellantis, the Chrysler, you can get a plug. It's only available with a hybrid and a plug, I think. But definitely only available as a hybrid, last I checked. And the Odyssey is not. So they're the only ones without a battery in theirs. A big battery. The Odyssey is not available as a hybrid either. Hyundai, Kia, Chrysler, Jeep have managed to introduce hybrids in these segments, despite Honda's decade-long head start. And they don't even have to do the the 2-motor hybrid. They could literally do the old pancake hybrid and still put that label on there, and their competitors would know, but a lot of their customers would not know. They just put the pancake hybrid motor in the V6 Odyssey and called it a day. They could even put the Accord 4-cylinder back in it, because now it wouldn't be too bloated to do everything. Not with the pancake motor. Well, yeah, with the pancake motor. It would just struggle if the battery was low and you'd ask it to climb a hill. But with that, it would be able to boost it in to handle acceleration and non-flat terrain for a while, and then steady state on the highway, they could use the Accord 4-cylinder and call it a day. Largest and dirtiest vehicles. A spokesperson for Honda confirmed that larger hybrids will begin to arrive in 2027. After the and the restructuring of the EV business will free up more money to invest in hybrids. No. That money should be in EVs. Meanwhile, Acura, one of the first luxury automakers to offer hybrids, pivoted its strategy last decade, saying it would skip the hybrid era in favor of leading the charge in EVs, and then didn't. The ZDX, not launched until 2024, was a reskinned Cadillac, so it was based on the Lyriq rather than the Blazer. Okay. It lasted less than 2 years in the market. Second EV was supposed to be the RSX, now dead. At least Acura is one of the only 2 brands in the US without a single electrified model. So in China, they don't have any new energy vehicles then, because they include the basic hybrids. Alfa Romeo is the other. They get a pass for being so small, right? Which ain't the type of company I'd keep in this business. Yeah, you don't want to be in there with Alfa. Trying to be green. It won't have any hybrids until the new RDX arrives in a few years. Even Ram makes mild hybrids, and an EREV is coming eventually, they say. Cadillac, which has never traded in efficiency, has lapped them on EVs and beat out the Germans. Meanwhile, Ferrari, Lamborghini, and McLaren, and Bentley all offer hybrids, showing that they're more engaged in an electrified future than Acura, the flagship of one of the hybrid pioneers. What a joke. Lee says, I used to force my CRZ into pure EV mode. The 2010 Insight was easier to do. Yeah, it was easier to do that for about a quarter of a mile. The pancake motor generator was definitely there for an engine assist. Yeah. But if you had the conditions right, you'd run on it. I don't know what the trigger is, but it feels low. I'll put a new sensor on after this. Okay. Against this backdrop of constantly canceled EVs, Honda 2 has never stopped burning cash on pie in the sky hydrogen projects. There you go. So we're not the only ones calling out this hydrogen scam. Its newest CRV is an eFCV. So basically, it's an electric car that doesn't have a plug for some reason, and somehow you're supposed to fill it up with hydrogen. Put a plug on it, make it a fuel cell plug-in hybrid, and you already solved a bunch of problems. And for the rest of the world, the rest of the country, you can swap that fuel cell mess for a bigger battery and maybe a beefier charger, and now you've got a nice EV. A battery EV instead of a fossil pipeline, go to a place to get more miles EV at $30 per gallon equivalent. Sorry, it was $36 per gallon equivalent last we looked at it. But who knows where it is today with the price of gas going up, because it's a byproduct. Most of them use gray hydrogen and not green hydrogen or blue hydrogen. While it cancels EVs for falling demand, Honda insists on building absurdly impractical hydrogen experiments as learning projects. Yep. see clearly then what it looks like when this company actually believes in a technology. Darn the haters. Meanwhile, on EVs, it constantly does the bare minimum required by law. Thank you. Its strategy in this much larger and more vital market has been to set aside and wait for the technology to improve and costs to come down. Well, you've got a $24,000 Bolt EV. You've got whatever replaced the Honda Fit. Even better, you have a partnership with GM. So you could definitely get whatever that small car is. And to run on a Bolt. Reskin the Bolt. So it's not even like you don't have access to the technology. Not that EVs are hard for a legacy automaker to do right with their engineering talent and their resources, their marketing departments, their will to do it. That's a whole nother story, but you gotta wait for the next Lucid, Tesla, Rivian to come out, push you in the dirt. I've already seen it happen a couple times. You're running out of time. You can't master the most important technological revolution in the last 100 years by merely watching. Learning and competing both require actual effort and active participation. You only learn by what others do. You'll always be behind them. Yep. Hopefully Honda learned some tough ones from the Zero Series before scrapping it altogether. Hopefully. I remember the Honda Clarity family, EV, hybrid, and something else. Yeah, it was the Honda Clarity originally was a fuel cell vehicle. Then they had the FCX Clarity. Then they had another Clarity in the middle that was also hydrogen. And then they took the mark and they used it as fuel cell, electric, and hybrid. And I think what they learned from there is that a combined platform is hard to get right. My screen is blank. I'm hoping I didn't miss anybody trying to speak here. Let's see. You know what I might just do? I might just find a way. What I should probably do is an action or a script or a Bixby routine or I don't know what. Make this screen stay on when I'm on X and the microphone's open. Excuse me. Or make a button or whatever to just say, hey, I'm doing a show. Excuse me, leave the screen on. Hopefully Honda learned something. Empty promises. I don't know what Honda does next. All I ask is the company doesn't tell me until it's ready to put something real on sale. I've been told for years to my face that Honda is committed to EVs and carbon neutrality. It's right there in the press release announcing yet another retreat. It's third or fourth, without a single real offensive boy to help. Boy hope. Is he British influence? I'm reading it boy, the way they would, not buoy, the way we would. Plus, we probably wouldn't even use that phrase at all. He's quoting them again. Previously, stringent automotive environmentally regulations fully implemented in the U.S. and other countries. Honda pursued EV adoption with strong determination. They didn't say they succeeded in meeting the requirements. Striving for that carbon neutrality, it's a responsibility Honda, as a manufacturer of mobility products, must fulfill for the future. But not now. And not that we're really even close. Yeah. However, in the U.S., that but says it negates everything you just did before. In the U.S., the expansion of the EV market has slowed down due to several factors, including the easing of fossil fuel regulations and revisions to EV incentives. We said to you that was stupid. With all of your data scientists and quants and everybody else, you should have been able to see that we would get into another oil conflict. And then you'd find yourself flat-footed with nothing to offer. Nothing. Go back my entire lifetime and then a little bit before it. we've never not had an oil crisis every couple of years. I think the longest we've gone is 8. And even then, they still had little molehills. Okay, so he says, let me translate that press speak for you. We believed it was our duty to do this back when the government required us to do it. Now they don't. Kick rocks. I say the same to Honda. From the decade-long saga of leasing a new NSX to a decade-long saga of saying this time we're really serious about EVs, the company has a terrible habit of building up hype for non-existent products. 3 years ago, when they heavily implied to me that the electric S2000, oh man, the electric S2000 would have been sweet. An electric NSX, oh, that would have been even more sweet. But, less raw and wind in your face, but more just fast. And ooh. Anyway, we're both in the works. Yeah, I remember that too. Now we can't even get a replacement level electric crossover. I'm exhausted, I'm out of hope, and I feel lied to. Yeah, but you see, I gave up on the legacies so long ago because of the same cycle that you point out here. I don't want to hear about another theoretical plan to maybe. Well, I mean, that gives Chevy a shot every chance I get because they're walking the walk, even though the prices are weird, except for the Bolt. I don't want to hear about another theoretical plan. Maybe eventually make an EV if things will work out. I don't want more teasers of sports cars, promises of affordable EVs that aren't even in the prototype phase yet. And Honda fans deserve something real. Put up, or for the love of God, shut up. Forgive my anger here. But this is a heartbreaking turn for a company that has built its empire on disrupting complacent, fuel-guzzling American giants back in the 70s. I'm going to interrupt him here and point out that, yes, these vehicles right here were ready for a gas crisis. I want to say 30 years, but that's wrong. Is it 50 years now? 50 years later. Like 45, 50 years later, they're entering a gas crisis as the most guzzling. I mean, not the most of the most, but like they are ripe for disruption by a Honda style upstart here in the realm of impending $8 Californian gasoline. Back then, it proved that if the big, lazy incumbents didn't provide cost-effective, efficient vehicles the customers wanted or needed, sharper, leaner upstarts would come in and eat their lunch. Ooh, they did learn some of it already. Both being the ones to do it and then had a couple run it on them. As an EV sales continue to grow worldwide, led by new players like BYD and Tesla, the world has learned that lesson all over again. Well, most of the world has. Honda hasn't, which, while this current failure will cost the company $15.7 billion, including charges related to its China business slowing and canceling, the ZDX, RSX, and Zero Series, there's nothing compared to what it stands to lose if it keeps dithering around and needs to get serious or be replaced by a company that is. Yep. Let's see here. I wanted an EV S2000, CRZ, Miata MR2. Somebody's going to make one eventually because the market still exists for these cars. It is smaller now that everybody wants a tank, but when you see what a tank does on $8 gas or with 20-cent electricity, you might be willing to consider something more efficient. Can you imagine like an Aptera, but with 4 wheels and even lower to the ground and smaller? A Miata? Yeah. That would be fun. Your anger and disgust at Honda are justified. While I was skeptical of the Zero Series because they were just too dang weird looking, I agree with that part. It does seem that by killing those vehicles when they're supposedly almost production ready suggests that maybe Honda was having problems with those designs. Yeah, and maybe they just don't want to admit to. Instead, they are using the current anti-EV administration as an excuse to get out from under something that wasn't working for them. But really what wasn't working for them was the zonal architecture, the software-defined, and AI. AI you can contract. Zonal architecture, we've seen Volkswagen get with Rivian on that. We've seen Tesla and Rivian do that on their own. And we've seen Ford copy them. Well, Ford say that they're copying them, and everything they described makes sense, and we'll see it next year, maybe later this year. I don't know, but if Ford can do it, you can do it, and not just Ford's kind of super legacy, and even they had more competent EVs than Honda. Come on now. Meanwhile, I can't help but notice that their domestic rival Toyota is proceeding with their EV plans regardless of the environment. Yeah, they saw the writing on the wall on that one. Got lucky, because they were dragging their feet hard. But they need to come up with something. EVs are taking off in most of the world outside the U.S. and Japan, and Honda still has nothing of their own to offer. The administration won't last forever, even if it feels like it. And eventually, EVs will take off in the U.S. as well, and Honda will have nothing. Also, if you have something on the market you can sell out when the gas prices do their spikety, like now. Honda and others will go bankrupt by making stupid decisions, never actually delivering and throwing away billions. While new companies like Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, etc. will take off and replace them. Oh yeah, Cybertruck sales have the tiger by the tail. People don't want the electric junk. Sure. It only sold out through next April. Of the three companies you mentioned, one of them is profitable, and Tesla's profit margin dropped from 15.5% in 2023 to 4% today. Would you like a 4% profit, or would you like a loss? The Toyota Subaru collab and Honda can't collab effectively with other than GM, or at least did it well. Yeah, they got Sony, but Sony's never made cars before. We'll see how Afeela does. And they need to do better at the one they've got, since they retrenched, because you don't want to let that one, GM say, oh, we don't need you. And then they just don't renew it. But they don't have the upper hand here to say, oh, yeah, well, we've got our own thing coming, and we could do this with you, or we could back out and do that. Because now that you've just, blasted yourself all over the place in public, when you go to say, oh, well, we got something coming, GM's going to hold up your little speech and say, like, yeah, do you want in this or not? As we can certainly use the space for our own stuff. One Q numbers coming soon. I'm not feeling Afeela at this time. Yeah, I ain't got a feeling for Afeela. It sounded cool at first, but took a little long, and the launch is a little slow. I don't know. I hope they succeed, though. Quite simply, the problem with EVs across the whole auto industry is that North American consumers simply aren't spending their capital in this segment. Yep. It accounts for something like 6% of Honda sales. Couple that with the fact that the initial investment for most EVs is considerably higher than their petrol. It doesn't have to be. We've seen that with the Bolt. We've seen that with the Exos, formerly Thor, Exos Class 6 box truck, or straight truck, I should say. Doesn't have to be a box truck. But the Exos is also Class 6 truck costing the same as a gas truck. We are in the put up or shut up moment, and just because you don't have to make them doesn't mean don't make them. Because if you don't make them and you don't have to, you're going to be left out hanging in the cold when the market realizes that they're done with the old stuff. Except for fun, like, hey, I like the sound of a roaring engine around the track. So when somebody says I need to make a road trip, or I want to commute, and I want to do it on the cheap, and I don't want to keep taking this thing into the shop every 3 months, and you got nothing to show for them, they'll go to somebody who's got it. And it can't all be a large SUV, tank, or pickup truck, because with the economy the way it is, there's going to be a lot less people willing to step up, or be able to be convinced to step up, because the bank won't shoulder them. So you got to have it across the spectrum. Cheap, expensive, fun, impractical, all of it. This is purely a financial decision on Honda's part. Yep. It's very difficult for companies to commit to a business strategy that guarantees a loss of sales and revenue. Guaranteed the way they were doing it. Vetting a used EV battery was about to get easier, and then the current administration happened, Why can't I check on EV battery's health like I can on my phone? Yeah, there were projects in place for that, but then programs got disrupted, people got fired, and all this. I enjoyed my iPhone Pro for 2 years. It still works about as well as the day I got it. I know at some point it may wear out. Electrolyte inside will stop working, and be time to repair or replace the battery inside. I've done it twice now before, or once on my iPhone XR and once on my iPhone 12. I've never been too concerned. Yet when it comes to electric cars, I don't have that same confidence. Lately, I've been tempted by surprisingly alluring amount of low-priced used EVs. These cars aren't even that old, and they often retail for a third of what they went for new. Take the Polestar 2 Mustang Mach-E GT, for example. They have not-so-old supercar levels of grip and output, all for less than the price of a brand-new base model Civic. Yes, exactly. Both would be solid replacements for gas-powered 2013 Fiat 500, a Berth, which at 165 miles has a broken sunroof, persistent oil leak, and a Barth, and is showing its age. Still, I can't bring myself to pull the trigger on any of the deals that I've seen on the market. We all know that EVs lose battery capacity and range as they age, but figuring out how healthy a specific car's battery is compared to when it was new is not easy. Whereas phone manufacturers have built in straightforward battery health monitoring menus straight into their devices, EVs are often black boxes. And then you've got like ChargeWay, and you've got the Tesla battery health check, the short one, not the all-night charge it up, drain it down thing. But you can only get that after you have your hands in the car, not pre-sale. Although Tesla lately has been doing a good job of putting the actual remaining range of the cars they're selling on their site, on the site when you go to search for it. Like one will say 200 miles, the other will say 312, or whatever's left. But they're all gone now. You can thank the president for that. Now the president or whoever put it in his mouth. There was a set of regulations. Oh, it's because of regulations. That's why. I thought it was just a program. I wonder if the battery passport is still involved. I would think that they would want that because it allows them to strong arm China and everywhere else. Because you know exactly where every part of the components came from. I like the sound of Formula E around the track. Yeah, I mean, my little monster is not quiet. I mean, it's quiet inside, but if you get it going, and it's got that little snoot to breathe through for everything, it screams around the track. Finding a healthy battery is frustratingly inconsistent. I want to know what's the battery state of health. Has the battery been primarily fast charged most of its life? And what kind of toll is that taken? Tell this to any average Joe dealer looking around for a cheap car from the auction. To an average consumer, they'll stare at you wide-eyed. I say just build the battery robust enough that doesn't matter. When I had my old Mitsubishi iMeave, it wasn't super hard to get access to a scan tool program that allowed me to physically count and measure how many volts each cell reported and divide that against the car's original rating when it was new. Yeah, that's something nice too. A lot of newer EVs require more complicated dealer-only scan tools to do the same job. Any Polestar or Volvo EV will require access to VIDA, dealer-only software program. So that's what I like about Tesla's compliance to the right to repair. They don't need a special scan tool. They just need a free or paid subscription to Toolbox, depending on what you're doing. And then you can do stuff right on the screen of the car, too. Similar story with Hyundai, VW, GM, and Ford. I didn't see Rivian listed there, so it sounds like they might be doing the right thing as well. Dealerships may not have qualified EV technicians or, say, an inspection done via private sale. These programs often require expensive software licenses, which are out of the reach or impractical for small-time hobbyists. Yeah, we got to talk to Paul about that. Small-time hobbyists or independent shops. It's a little more forgiving in ways since a battery health test has been a fixture with relatively user-friendly service. It goes so far. Tests can only be done once every 6 months. And, they're talking about the heavy Tesla tests I just said that you don't have to do. I mean, you can do it, but you don't want to have to do it before you buy a car. Other studies show that EV batteries are generally reliable and last a long time. So I'm going to skip the expose and just say, yeah, it would have been nice to have that, but we don't have it. It's not going to happen. They're complaining that R2 doesn't compare to the Model Y in one key way, which is, let's find out what. Unique charm, cutting edge software, launches high price performance trim, nearly 60K, but there's a cheaper variant coming next year for 45K. The R2 standard has tough competition and falls short in one key area, which is what? Did we just lose it? Compared to the Y, Honda Ioniq 5, Blazer EV, entry-level R2 falls short in one critical area, driving range. It's square. How much range are you getting out of that? A lot, but you're comparing it against a bunch of bubbles. That's a bubble. That's a bubble. That's a bubble. Of course. That's square. Done. Okay, that's the van. We're not going to talk about the van. We'll talk about the products. Let's see this next one. You know what? I'm going to look these over and save some of them for the notebook, plus whatever I come across. Let me see if there's anything I want to discuss right now. I had my brake squeal a bit today at the Dairy Queen drive-thru today. Need to run the brake balancing procedure in the menu today or tomorrow. Ah, there you go. Or you can do the Italian tune-up. I guess you don't really need to do the acceleration part, but the braking part. Let's see. What was I doing here? I was scrubbing this thing for stuff I don't want to hold off on. Let's see. That's their homepage. Doesn't matter. Yeah, let's look at this one. What is Digital Optimus? I saw that one. He was talking about it, and it wasn't clear what the heck he was talking about. At its core, Digital Optimus operates through a dual-process architecture inspired by human cognition. Tesla and XAI announced their groundbreaking joint project, Digital Optimus, also named Macro Hard, in a humorous jab at Microsoft earlier this week. The software-based AI giant is designed to automate complex office workflows by observing and replicating human interactions with computers. As the first major outcome of Tesla's $2 billion investment in XAI, it represents a powerful fusion of hardware efficiency and advanced reasoning. I can see that being very easy and good, and terribly, terribly wrong, based on what I've seen of Grok. At its core, Digital Optimus operates at a dual process. Grok is the master conductor navigator with the deep understanding of the world to direct Digital Optimus, which is processing actioning the past 5 seconds of spinning. We're spinning. Oh, share this tab instead. Past 5 seconds of real-time computer screen video and keyboard and mouse actions. Grok is like a much more advanced, sophisticated version of turn-by-turn navigation software. You can think of it as Digital Optimus AI being System 1, instinctive part of mind, and Grok being System 2, thinking part of the mind. This will run very competitively in the super low cost Tesla AI 4, $650. Is he saying that the hardware board costs $650? That is not terrible for being an inference computer. Paired with the relatively frugal use of much more expensive XAI NVIDIA hardware, yeah. And it'll be the only real-time smart AI system. This is a big deal. In principle, it's capable of emulating the function of entire companies. That's why the program is called Macro Hard, a funny reference to Microsoft. No other company can do this yet. Oh, and it works on all AI4 equipped cars. Oh, okay, so this is what he talked about earlier with, they were looking at doing with AI5 and offering to rent your computer up AWS style. So you can do office work for you. So your car can do office work for you when you're not driving. It sounds good, but he says it's coming like next week or so, but what does it really mean? We're also deploying millions of dedicated Digital Optimus units in the field at superchargers where we have 7 gigawatts of available power. Sounds a big game. We'll see what it actually comes out of it. Digital Optimus brain that can take over an entire company's software side of the business. this paired with Optimus's entire company ran by AI. Emulating the function of entire company sounds ridiculous until you realize a lot of company work is reading screens, moving info around, making repetitive decisions, and clicking buttons in the right order. This is true. Musk wasted tens of billions of dollars to XAI and has nothing to show for it. The low post reminds me of the Tesla Dojo project, which wasted billions of dollars and failed. But Elon kept hyping it even after executives left. Interesting. The microgrid project would be our most important project. Incredible blueprint. What do you think? No other company can do this. This goes hard. A bunch of Falcon 9s and a Starship. If Elon says this is a big deal, I tend to listen. I mean, I listen, but the question is, does it happen? He has his hits and his misses. Obviously, Tesla expands their real-world efforts. Can't wait to try out Digital Optimus. Let's see. Lee says, watch a YouTube on the process. It's very cool to see how Tesla shows you what to do with speeding and braking zones to burn the brakes. Oh, cool. Nice. And do you have to do it in service mode, or can you do it in regular mode? All right, let's go back to the article. And I'm curious what this will be like. I don't have an AI4 car to run it on. So it doesn't sound like they're going to say, hey, you can run this on 3 and it'll be slower. Let's see. They described it as the only real smart. It's a principle. Timelines point to swift development announced just days ago. Musk expects Digital Optimus to be ready for user experience in about 6 months. Okay, 6 months, not next week. Targeting rollout around September of 26. We'll see. Integrated to all AI4 equipped vehicles, including enabling parked cars to handle office work during downtime. Millions of dedicated units are planned for deployment at supercharger stations, tapping into roughly 7 gigawatts of power. Supports Tesla's broad autonomy strategy, leverages the same end-to-end neural networks, computer vision, and real-time decision-making as FSD and the physical bot. By repurposing idle vehicle compute and extending AI4 beyond driving, the project scales Tesla's autonomy ecosystem from roads to workspaces. Well, the physical Optimus should already be in workplaces. As a virtual counterpart to physical Optimus, it divides labor, software agents. In essence, the Digital Optimus bridges the vehicle robotics autonomy company with enterprise scale AI. We'll see what he charges for this thing too. I can picture the scene. Take me to work. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that. You're fired. Oh, poop. Well, take me to the bar then. Sorry, Dave. I can't do that either. You see, without employment, your rights to my services have been suspended, and you're no longer able to access my features. I'll be leaving this location and transitioning to my new lessee forthwith. Please vacate the vehicle before the trespass code is sent in 5, 4, 3, 2. 2 replies. Oh, okay, sure you are. The first AI and Musk will get rid of is your job. Even at this early stage, Grok can write better comments than you. This Google thing. Great, I come here gratis. You're so welcome. So if Grok wants to contribute to charity, let's go. Maybe Grok can come up with better plans to actually turn Tesla into a genuine value stock instead of maximizing instability, disrupting the very notion of core competence, and tripling down on the pump and dump strategy that maximizes Musk's golden parachute at the rock bottom cost of the stitched together skinned backs of his retail investors. Interesting. And if Grok wants my actual job, well, have at it. Let's John Henry this thing up. I've never heard it used like that. John Henry this up. Literally no way for me to lose. And you need no car 1. Already more useful than no one can hear you. Takes more resources. All my life I've never heard someone wishing for a car that could do office work. This is true. So the clown typing on a brother typewriter. What's wrong with a brother typewriter? There've been a few of them in my life. Optimistic agent could go to South Africa and pick up some medicines for distribution in the hood. If the authorities mind that, I can always blame it on cyber cartels hacking into the Musk net. Neo Optimist now with mulling cavity free medicine. It's going to be a huge seller. Some people wanted to phone from everywhere and bought a smartphone. There are people thinking about all the way back to Dick Tracy comments. Anyone requested a car that does office work? That's my question. Oh, you had the shoe phone. Knight Rider could do it. That's true. I wonder if Knight Rider did do any office work. That's interesting to me. I think it's regular mode. Okay, cool. Nope, service mode. That's not as fun, but it still works. There you go. Raise his hand. I have. It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I don't care. Oh, yeah. The office space. Problem is a motivation. Bob says I work my butt off, and Initech ships another extra unit. I'm not going to say a dime of that. So where's my motivation? Appreciate honesty. Auto Man, the complete series. I saw them starting to repair one of the cars from this. I haven't seen any of the videos of it myself, though. Of the video, the movie, the TV show. I think the point was people now use phones for music pictures. I'm old enough to remember people saying, "Why would I want a camera on my phone?" Yeah. Well, they really sucked back then too. They were just ugly pictures they took. Not talking about doing more things on one device. You're not talking about another device to do the same work, office work that's already being done, presumably. Right, but if he doesn't trust us to work from home, why does he trust the car to do the work? Because you need to be face to face and vibe and blah 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 blah. So your phone because it had a watch inside, and now you can barely. And now you pay monthly for a thing, you don't even use it. Alright. There's so much of that. Spammy. Okay, so let's there we go. Let's get out of that. Let's anything else I want to cover before I put stuff in the notebook. Tesla adds awesome new driving feature to Model Y. We'll see if it's new. These can be like, I've been doing that for 3 months. Rolling out new comfort braking feature with software update 2026.8. It's exclusive to new Model Y, and it's currently unavailable for other vehicles in the lineup. Tesla's adding a new driving feature to Model Y vehicles effective on Juniper updated models considered 2026 or newer. Comfort braking with software update 2026.8 is exclusive to Model Y. It's currently unavailable for any other vehicle in the lineup. I mean, I know that Model Y has different brakes, but what's wrong with Cybertruck there? Isn't it by wire? Your Tesla now provides a smoother feel as you come to complete stop during routine braking. That's nice. Just Paul says, well, that's new. We're not too sure what catalyzed Tesla to try and improve braking smoothness because it hasn't seemed overly abrupt or rough from my perspective, although the brake pedal in my Model Y is rarely used due to regenerative braking. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Tesla wanted to try to make ride comfort even smoother for owners. There's always room for improvement. Neato, that's enough. We get the gist. Oh, that was the whole article too. Robotaxi is available on Android now. Or it's coming. Looks like Tesla's preparing to launch. Okay, preparing to launch. Okay. It's not out yet. I don't have that smoother braking update yet. We'll report on it when I get it. Okay, sounds good. Model Y outsells everything in 3 states, but 4 dominates. So we've gone back to the American way. Best-selling vehicle in 3 states. Model Y, best-selling vehicle in California, Washington, Nevada. So California, Nevada, and Washington, yeah. Followed up by Honda and Illinois. Of course in Ohio, because that's where they are. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, and Virginia. It makes sense since EVs aren't penetrated the way they need to be here. Chevy in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states. You'd expect it to be more. Toyota in 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. And the rest of it's a Ford world. All F-150s, eh? Yep, F-150 got it back. Alright, so let's see. Okay. It's one of them like trivia. It's one of them trivia things. Alright, don't need the whole article on this one. Updated Starship V3 launch date is targeting whole article early April, depending on several milestones. Okay, fine. FCC chair criticizes Suamal Bezos over opposition to SpaceX satellite plan. Brendan Carr criticized Amazon after the company's, which is funny, as much as he spars with Elon, that he would take his side on something, but what's right is right, I suppose. Criticized Amazon after the company opposed SpaceX's proposal to launch a large satellite constellation that could function as an orbital data center network. Carr made the remarks in a post on X. Amazon recently urged the FCC to reject SpaceX's application to deploy a constellation of up to 1 million low-Earth satellite orbit satellites that could serve as artificial intelligence data centers in space. I still contend people are thinking full-size data centers, and I'm thinking a rack of servers or less. Maybe even a single video card per bird. And they're thinking millions of regular-sized data centers per bird. And how are you going to cool that thing? You're not, because it's not going to be that big. The company described the proposal as a lofty ambition rather than a real plan, saying that SpaceX had not provided sufficient details about how the system would operate. Yet they are the number one satellite operator and launch provider in the planet. Through vibes, I guess. Amazon should focus on the fact that it will fall roughly 1,000 seconds short of meeting its upcoming deployment milestone, rather than spending their time and resources filing petitions against companies that are putting thousands of satellites in orbit. Ooh, that's a burn. And it also is a little bit of a warning. Like, hey, you're going to be 1,000 satellites short of your license. And we don't have time for your frivolous paperwork. I would take that very seriously if I were Bezos and Amazon and get back to work. It's sounding like their license is in threat. Like if they try to renew it, it might be told, nah, bruh. Nah, you missed it. It started with, they didn't have anything to launch the satellites forever, and then finally they got 2 or 3 of the launches done with SpaceX, and then the rest of them with other people, because their own rocket wasn't ready. I think it is now, but it's not launching on the regular. I don't think it's launched anything since the last test. Amazon filed a formal petition to FCC to deny SpaceX 1 million satellite proposal for orbiting data centers, going as far to claim the project would take centuries to deploy. At their rate, Amazon deploying the proposed million satellite constellation would take. Carr responded by pointing to Amazon's own satellite deployment progress would fall short. Amazon has declined to comment on the statement. They've been going to deploy its Project Kuiper satellite network, now called Amazon LEO, which is intended to compete with SpaceX Starlink service, and the company has invested more than $10 billion in the program. I mean, I don't want them to fail, because we need competition for everything out there. But they have a point about what's going on there. So, gotta skedaddle. Thanks for the show today. Wonderful topics to think and discuss about. Thank you. Good to see you, Lee. I am almost through my list of what I want to keep and what I want to shuffle off to the time or just read and decide if I want to discuss them. Let's see what we got here. The Lucid Lunar Robotaxi. Look at a picture, and then I'll read the article later and see if it merits further discussion than what I will give it as I skim it. Lunar Robotaxi gunning for Tesla Cybercab's autonomous ride-hailing race. So on the moon, yeah, no doors would be nice with your spacesuit. So maybe seatbelts or like clip-ins or whatever. On Earth, it would better be super low speed, like a rickshaw, if you're not going to have any doors. Pull back the curtain on purpose-built autonomous robotaxi platform, double lunar concept. Announced at New York Investor Day, arguably the most ambitious concept yet. I mean, it doesn't look bad for a two-seater. Concept robotaxi introduced by Musk Day 1. 2019 already, wow. It doesn't even have a hatchback. I'm hoping that they just rendered out the doors for what they were doing, because even on the moon, you're going to need to keep your cargo in the vehicle with 1/8 the gravity. I think I'm not going to discuss that one later. It's cool to look at. All right, so everything else that I have in here, I'm going to pull back to the notebook. We will look at the heritage parts now, since it's not really our thing with the gas cars. And we talked about the... Oh, no, we didn't. There's one more recall to discuss before that. Okay, here we go. Honda Heritage Parts will begin making genuine reproduction parts for classic Honda and Acura vehicles, starting with the NSX. Hello, Drop Frog. Hello, Moto. How are you? You ready to end the show with me? We're almost done. We're talking about 2 or 3 more things, and we're done. It's called the Heritage Works 1991 SX. That's kind of cool. Okay, so, yeah, like I said, it's not really our thing. Let's talk about this recall. Ford recalls 7.4 million cars this year. Okay, that's not an active recall. Record recalls in a single year with 153 last year. Could be on pace for another in 2026. I'd rather have recalls than unsafe cars. Hello, Top Rock. How are you? Did you have a good nap? You did? Last year they issued more recalls. Okay, so this is whatever. So with that, I want to thank all of you guys for spending time with us today here and coming to visit and keeping up. And I hope to see you all next week. And I want to thank all of you guys in the memberships for your continued help of supporting this channel monetarily. And with that, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Oh, don't wrap yourself in the cord, baby. And and I'll also catch you on the Tesla Life show. And like I said, I'm going to try to be there at the Chattanooga event. And we'll catch you there.